Events begin in Madison, Wisconsin, in 1988. A boy named Vincent is playing hide-and-seek with his younger brother Ben. Meanwhile, the children's mother, Beth, is getting ready to attend a Chicago high school reunion. She plans to take the two sons and daughter with her. Beth's husband, Pat, captured a photo of their family before Beth and the children finally set off on their journey. Along the way, the boys are fooling around. 15 years have passed since Beth graduated from high school, so it's important for her to meet with her classmates. Her old friend Ellen, for the first time, saw Carrie, Beth's little daughter. Before the party, Beth, like the others, decides to stay at a hotel with the children. Everyone was very happy to see each other. Life has taken everyone on different paths, and much has changed over the 15 years. Cecil Lockhart, the most beautiful girl in school, is also here. Beth asked her sons to watch out for each other while she went to the reception desk to settle the bill. It only took a minute, but when Beth returned, Ben was gone. According to Vincent, he had run off somewhere. Beth and Ellen began searching for Ben everywhere, but he was nowhere to be found. Beth asked the guests if they had seen a boy in a red baseball cap, but no one could help her. With every passing second, Beth's anxiety grew. Vincent didn't even notice which direction his brother had gone. Ellen addressed everyone present and explained the situation. Jimmy, Beth's classmate who was a detective, quickly took control of the search. People split into groups and began searching the hotel. A lot of time passed, but the search led to nothing. Jimmy decided to call Pat and inform him about what had happened. A few minutes later, the police arrived. An officer reassured Beth, who was going crazy with worry, that they would find Ben. This gave Beth hope. The officers asked her several questions to get a picture of events. But 4 hours passed, and Ben was still not found. Jimmy introduced Beth to his boss, Senior Detective Candy Bliss. She promised that they would do everything possible to find Ben. Worried, Pat arrived at the hotel and hugged his wife. They both don't understand how this could have happened, but they can't panic now. Soon Pat's parents also arrived to join the search. 5 hours had passed since Ben disappeared. Pat's mother, Rosie, decided it would be better for the grandchildren to stay with them for now. Beth hugged her eldest son and looked at the clock. With each passing minute, her hope was slipping away. Vincent is deeply concerned about his younger brother. Detective Bliss asked Beth to provide them with a photo of Ben. Looking at her son's picture, Beth couldn't hold back her tears. A few seconds later, she was hysterical. Jimmy called the doctors over to calm Beth down. She couldn't believe that all this was really happening. Pat and his wife became the focus of intense media attention. They could barely push through the crowd of reporters and made their way to Pat's parents' house. In advance, Beth made a television appearance, appealing to everyone in the city to help in the search for her son. Later, Pat decided to take the children home. In the city, a large-scale campaign to find Ben is unfolding. Many sympathetic people who genuinely want to help have come forward. The police are receiving an enormous number of calls, but all the information turns out to be false. Many officers believe it is a hopeless search. Detective Bliss asked Beth for a private conversation and assured her that she wouldn't give up. Beth can't imagine living without Ben, but Candy advised her to stay strong for their two children. Beth went home because there's nothing more she can do to help Ben now. It's all in the hands of the police. Pat said that the children were being looked after by a nanny. Beth hesitated to get out of the car for a long time, but when she saw Vincent, she was trying to act like everything was normal. In reality, it was unbearable for her to be in a home where Ben was absent. Feeling her mother's sadness, Vincent embraced her. While working at the restaurant, Pat tries to call his wife, but she spends the whole day lying in bed and doesn't answer the phone. In the afternoon, Pat told the wife about plans to open his own restaurant, but she's not interested right now. Beth forgot to pick up Vincent from school on time, which upset him greatly. The rest of the time Beth sleeps, and the husband is always close by. At night when Carrie cries, Beth won't even get out of bed or go near her. Vincent is forced to take care of his little sister himself. The next day, Beth again forgot to pick him up from school, so Vincent had to walk home on his own. Beth is now indifferent to everything happening around her. Her friend Lori tries to cheer her up, but it only annoys Beth more. Christmas has come, and the whole family gathered to celebrate the holiday. Beth tries to smile and pretend that everything is fine. However, Beth gets angry when Pat's mother brings gifts for Ben too. Rosie says she believes he will be found. Then Ben will know that the family remembered him all this time. Beth throws a tantrum, saying it's all over. She realizes that Ben will never come back home. The holiday has been hopelessly ruined. Soon Lori, who had contacted the People magazine the day before, came to visit and support Beth. She is still mad at her friend for giving Ben's photo to the journalists. But Lori did it in good faith. Pat and Lori advised Beth to return to photography. She's not sure it's a good idea because she hasn't done it in a long time. But in the end, Beth decides to do it to earn money. She used to be a professional photographer, but in recent years she devoted herself to the husband and children. Pat is glad that his wife is starting to come back to life. He still hopes to convince her to move to Chicago and open their own restaurant there. Pat also doesn't hide the fact that he wants to have more children. This angers Beth, who thinks he wants to replace Ben. Beth says she has no intention of moving to Chicago or having another child. Vincent overheard the conflict between his parents. At that moment, Beth confessed that she couldn't go on like this anymore. Pat, on the other hand, was tired of it because his wife was only thinking about herself. In a burst of emotion, he shouted that it was all her fault because she didn't look after their son. Only Carrie's crying stopped the argument between the spouses. Unable to stand it all any longer, Pat went to his car. Soon Vincent joined him. They went for a drive together. The tragedy had been a heavy blow to the whole family. They miss Ben very much and can't come to terms with his disappearance. 9 years have passed. The family eventually moved to Chicago and is preparing to open their own Italian restaurant. It seems they have gradually come to terms with the loss and moved on. Beth is very proud of her husband. Vincent, by the way, helps his parents with the business. Candy, who has become a close friend of the family, is delighted with the restaurant and how well Beth is doing. But one day a knock on the door changed everything. Beth was shocked to see the neighbor's boy who looked strikingly similar to Ben. Later, anxious Beth asked her daughter if she knew this boy. Carrie replied that his name is Sam, and he's a Boy Scout. Beth couldn't calm down for a long time. She was convinced that Sam was their missing Ben. Later, the woman discreetly took a picture of him and told Vincent she needed to leave for an urgent matter. Beth, who has been a professional photographer for the past 9 years, developed the photos of Sam and showed them to her husband in the evening. Pat also noticed the striking resemblance between the boy and Ben. Perhaps he is their son. Hope returned to the couple. Ben was only 3 years old at the time, so it's not surprising that he wouldn't remember his real parents. The couple couldn't sleep all night. In the morning, as Pat took the children to school, Beth called Candy, who immediately came over. Beth told her about the neighbor's boy. Later, the spouses discussed it with Detective Bliss and Detective Doherty. It turns out the boy is being raised by a foster father. Now the police's task is to confirm that Sam and Ben are the same person. Candy received a call and learned that Ben's and Sam's fingerprints matched. At this moment, the shock left the couple speechless. Returning home with a friend from school, Vincent saw police cars near the house and was puzzled. His mother explained the situation to him, but Vincent couldn't believe that the boy is Ben. The police went to pick up Sam from his guardian. Beth couldn't just wait at home and rush there. In the end, Candy allowed her to go with them on the condition that she wouldn't say anything. George Karras didn't expect to see the police at his door with a warrant, but he was even more shocked when Candy declared that he was under arrest. Of course, George denied any involvement. The police started searching the house. Beth noticed a photograph of Cecil Lockhart, her classmate. According to George, this woman was his wife. It turned out that Cecil gave birth in '85, the same time Ben was born. However, due to complications, Cecil lost her son. Because of this, she had a nervous breakdown and was in a psychiatric hospital for 3 years. Cecil was discharged from the hospital just before the class reunion. Candy is sure that she is responsible for what happened. George knows nothing about it because he married Cecil and adopted Ben after those events. However, 5 years ago, Cecil voluntarily left this life. George Karras remained the sole guardian of the boy. No one expected this to happen in reality. The police and grieving parents searched for their son for so many years, but in the end he found them himself. The family became the focus of media attention again, but now the spouses are not ready to give any comments. The family was preparing to meet Ben. George Karras, who had been raising him all these years, understood that it was necessary. Sam, that is Ben, was confused and didn't know how to behave. He considers George his family, not these people. Pat and Beth still can't believe that their son was found after 9 years. In the evening, the family had dinner together. As Ben prepared for bed, the parents came to his room to check if everything was all right. Of course, he felt strange. The couple cannot sleep, while Ben's crying. During the night, Vincent came to him and placed his favorite toy next to him. Ben was asleep at the time. When Ben woke up in the morning, he saw the toy and Vincent on the floor. He had fallen asleep right here. As Beth was getting her daughter ready to go to church, she asked why Ben doesn't love them. The mother replied that Ben loves them very much, but everything is new to him now, so he needs time to adjust. The family arrived at church for Sunday service. The priest told the congregation about the miracle that happened in the Capador family. George was also present. Ben was very happy to see the man he considered his father. The press doesn't give the Capador family any peace. After the service, they celebrated Ben's return at the restaurant. Many people, including friends and relatives, gathered here to sincerely congratulate the spouses. Vincent noticed that Ben can't relax. The father suggested teaching him a traditional Italian dance. Beth joined them, not wanting to leave her newly found son for a second. The family and guests had a great time. It seems that life is getting back on track. At night, there was a knock on the door. It was George Karras, who brought Sam's documents, his photos, and other belongings. Beth felt confused. George said that he always sincerely loved Cecil and her son. He never considered his wife mentally ill or capable of a crime. The spouses examined their son's medical records and other documents. They were upset that they lost so many years. Vincent spends time with his brother. It turns out they have many common interests. However, the boy doesn't like being called Ben. He's used to another name. During a basketball game, Vincent accidentally pushed Ben. The father and mother took it badly. Now they are overly protective of Ben. He said they were just playing. Beth spends all her free time with Ben, trying to evoke some memories in him. However, Ben doesn't call her mom and asks for permission to see his father. Beth reluctantly allowed him. But the problems didn't end there. Sam refuses to celebrate Thanksgiving with his new family. He misses his father, his grandparents, and his cousins, even though they are not blood related to him. The parents tried to explain to Ben that he is their son, not George's. However, the boy still refuses to celebrate with them. Later, Beth met with Candy. When they stopped at a cafe, Candy asked her friend how the children were doing. Beth confessed that it's difficult for Ben to adjust to his new life, and it's affecting his school performance. Despite everything, Beth strives to be a good mother to Ben. They spent the day together, strolling and taking photographs. Sam often remembers Cecil, whom he considered his mother and loved. According to Sam, she was very sick, and no one could help her. Now all the boy wants is to return to his father. Beth hugged her son, saying that she has been thinking only about him all these years. But Sam doesn't share her feelings because he doesn't consider Beth his mother and Pat his father. Sam wants everything to be as it was before. The next morning, Pat found that Sam wasn't in his room. He immediately woke up his wife, and together in panic they started searching for their son. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. George brought Sam back. It turned out he runs away to his former home every night and sleeps there. Vincent knew about it but kept silent, understanding that his brother doesn't consider them his family. 3 months have passed since Sam returned, but things haven't improved. The boy wants to go back to his father and live with him. The words of his biological parents about this being his home mean nothing to him. Sam feels that no one understands him and listens to him. George tearfully said that he only wants good for Sam. He has never seen him so unhappy as he is now. George had no choice but to leave. Beth and Pat try to figure out what to do. Beth believes that things will only get worse from now on. However, Pat is sure that Ben will get used to them with time. He is not ready to lose his son for the second time. However, Beth sticks to her opinion. They are strangers to Sam now, and he's deeply unhappy here. Once Beth lost Ben, and unfortunately it's forever. No matter what they do, they won't be able to truly get their son back. Beth intends to do the right thing, and against her husband's wishes, return Sam to George. Dinner was silent, and Sam didn't eat anything. Soon Beth helped him pack his things and prepared to take him to George. Watching from the window, Vincent felt conflicting emotions. It was a very difficult decision for Beth, but it was the only right one. Tearfully, she watched her son leave for George, who hugged him. When they enter the house, Beth burst into tears. Pat's state was no better. He realizes that he couldn't keep the family together. Beth is trying to move on despite everything. One day she found the family photograph that Pat took on that fateful day before the class reunion. Vincent sneaked out of the house that night. Later the phone rang, waking Beth up. It turned out that Vincent ended up in jail. The parents realized that their elder son is angry with them and desperately trying to get their attention. Candy advised Beth to have a frank talk with Vincent because he was going through what had happened as hard as they were. Vincent will have to spend another day here. He wrecked someone else's car and got caught by the police. Beth feels guilty towards her son and wants to make things right. They both cried. The relationship between Beth and Pat becomes increasingly tense and cold. Pat still can't come to terms with the fact that his wife gave Ben to George. Beth told her husband that the ideal family he imagined doesn't exist. Reality is not at all how he wants to think. Pat simply walked away without saying anything. Vincent didn't expect Sam to come and visit him. Vincent admitted that he was drunk when he smashed the car. Sam hopes that he can be friends with Vincent because they are brothers. Some memories also came back to Sam. He remembers playing hide and seek with his brother. Listening to this, Vincent can't hold back his tears. Soon Vincent returned home. In the evening, Sam offered him to play basketball. Of course Vincent agreed. During the night, Beth woke up to some sounds. At that moment, Sam confessed to his brother that he made the decision to stay in their family permanently and has already talked about it with George. Looking out the window, Beth saw her sons and realized that Sam is ready to come back. Pat also woke up. It seems their family has finally reunited for real. The spouses forgave each other for everything.